Hello there. Today we investigate the story of Socrates, and this is the beginning of a great lineage in classical Greek philosophy. You can remember this lineage of the great philosophers of ancient Greece with the acronym SPA. Socrates was the teacher of Plato, who was the teacher of Aristotle. The story of Socrates started with a visit to the oracle at Delphi, which is an ancient religious sanctuary dedicated to the god Apollo. Political leaders, mariners, craftsmen, and lay people would come to Delphi with questions, and they believed the guidance they received came directly from the god Apollo and therefore was sacred. The priestess Pythia, as she was called, was considered the vehicle of Apollo's wisdom. People would ask her the questions that they wanted to know about, and scribes would record the answers. One day, Sheriphon, a traveler from Athens, asked, "Who is the wisest in Athens?" And the Pythia, after some time of contemplation, replied, "Socrates." Sheriphon then returned to Athens like a messenger in the Greek tragedy. But when Socrates heard the pronouncement of the Delphic oracle, he was perplexed. Can you guess why? On the one hand, Socrates says, "One thing I know nothing." But how could he go against the oracle? It would be considered blasphemy. The solution? Find someone wiser than himself. So began Socrates' search for truth. He questioned poets, politicians, and craftsmen of Athens in the agora or marketplace of Athens looking for the truth. In his pursuit, Socrates challenged the politicians, poets, and craftsmen with questions. He wanted to discover the essential nature of knowledge, truth, and justice. And in his search for proper definitions that will not permit refutation, the dialectic method, an unexpected thing happened. Can you guess? He unmasked the truth that the people often did not know what they professed to know. Do you think the leaders of Athenian democracy were happy with Socrates' pursuit of truth? You are right. No, they weren't. He was brought to trial for defying the gods and corrupting the youth. By then, a group of young men that were attracted to Socrates' pursuit of wisdom and example of integrity had gathered around him. The trial did not go well for Socrates. The democratic leaders offered to drop the charges if Socrates would stop his philosophical search for truth, but he would not. Instead, he admonished his accusers. Are you not ashamed to care so little about wisdom and truth and the greatest improvement of the soul? Socrates would not stop. He couldn't live with the contradiction if he went against his inner resolve. He affirmed, famously now, the unexamined life is not worth living. Socrates was sentenced to death by drinking hemlock. Even when the time came to drink the poison, Socrates continued to philosophize about the immortality of the soul while his students wept for the loss of their beloved teacher. So these are some questions for us to think about. Is the unexamined life not worth living? Was the oracle correct in proclaiming that Socrates was the wisest man in Athens? What are some things you find interesting about the life, trial, and death of Socrates? Do you think that the story of Socrates is relevant today? Why or why not? Let's put those ideas of yours in the discussions.